Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. Practice 13 here at South Carolina football has been a really good spring from a team standpoint. Just excited, getting ready for the spring game this weekend. Hope you guys are having a great spring as well. Any questions?
David Cloninger with the first one.
How's it going, Clayton? We've heard a lot about the 4-2-5, and we also have heard a lot about the thin depth in the secondary. My question is there a contingency if you guys are in the season and just don't have enough healthy DBs? Do you go back to a four-man secondary, or do you just keep trying to drop a linebacker back there? What's the emergency plan?
Definitely, always as a football coach, we always adjust on the fly. We're always adjustable and we're ready to make changes whenever it happens. That's part of our life. But definitely, for sure, I mean, we feel like we'll be able to construct any kind of 4-3, 4-2 defense, whatever we need. We have a lot of defensive linemen, so we're going to keep those four down. So that spot, that big nickel spot, has been played by some guys that I think they're doing a really good job. So we will be okay. Thanks for asking, though.
Rick Henry.
Hey, Coach. Rick Henry, WIS-TV here in Columbia. What do you think your defense has made the most progress this spring, and how excited are you to get your guys in the stadium in front of some fans for the spring game?
One, we're very excited about going for the spring game coming up this weekend. I truly feel like there have been progress. And to me, my mindset is kind of like the Mamba mentality, find a way to improve every single day at something in your craft as a football coach or as a player. And I feel like we've done that every single day. We've stressed those guys out in regards of learning the defense and introductions of all types of packages. And I think they've answered the call for the most part. On Saturdays, we've had some solid scrimmages. But I'm very pleased with what they've done. I'm very excited also to show you guys what they can do, and hopefully we can find a way to get it done.
Dick Cox.
Coach, have there been any pleasant surprises this spring, and what are going to be your biggest concerns going into fall camp?
Surprises-wise, I love to start up front. Definitely, I knew of some guys that can play. I'm just surprised at how hard this whole defense plays, how much they love each other and how much they, as a group, they want to get better. That's the first thing, just starting up front with some surprises. I didn't know any of these players, so, I'm surprised at how good some of the defensive linemen are. Just names a few, JJ, Aaron, Birch, those guys are really good. But as far as a true surprise to me was Tonka. Tonka was a good surprise. He's put on weight. He's playing multiple positions up front. He's doing a great job. At linebacker, I think Brad Johnson has had a good spring. Damani Staley, those guys have surprised us. And in the backfield, you have a local guy in OD, Fortune. I think he surprises. He showed some physicalities and been able to play multiple positions. It's been a really good spring for a lot of guys, and we're proud of how they took this spring and just how they focus and they want to play together. That's the most important thing.
Ben Portnoy.
Clayton, when you look at this defensive line, obviously you got a lot of guys there that can play. When you look at trying to manufacture more of a pass rush than last year, what kind of goes into that and in terms of your style of coaching, and how do you kind of coach that and work through that?
Well, pass rush and coverage go hand in hand, first and foremost, Ben. And I truly believe that it's all about team defense. If you can't cover long, you're not giving the D-line enough time to get there. So it's kind of like I want to say the average, pass to get times off is 2.5, between 2.5 and 2.9. So our DBs got to cover for 3 seconds. So pass rush and coverage go hand in hand. Linebackers being aggressive downhill go hand in hand. So it's really no special call. It's understanding how to be an aggressive-minded defense up front, not just play calls, just mindset. And then the coverage, we got the longer we cover, that's more. It's just that's just the way it is. But that's how we got to preach that to our guys. We got to cover long, so we give them one more half of a second to get there. So we got to get some DBs that can continue getting DBs in that can cover. We have some really good guys right now, but the longer you cover, the better your pass rush will be.
Colin Taylor.
And you mentioned a couple guys working at that big nickel spot. Who are some of the guys that have really stood out there over the course of spring?
Well, we have David Spalding. He's a true nickel. He's a transfer from Georgia Southern. He's a kid who come in really high football IQ, so he's a true nickel. We've also have Jamal Brown, who's more of a hybrid linebacker, big nickel style kind of guy. And we have a local guy in Darrell Ware who's played that position. Then we've also tried Cam Smith. We tried a lot of guys in that position. Those guys, that's a very flexible position. As far as how the system is set up, if you can play, one of the DB spots, you should understand that position. So that's kind of really not the concern. It's just getting the depth so we can move guys around. If you move a guy to nickel in the spring, it's like robbing Peter to play Paul. You know what I mean? So you're taking one. So right now we just got guys set in positions, and guys are having fun with it. I mean, a lot of guys wanting to play that position to get to learn it. So it's been fun.
With the pass rush, obviously sacks are harder and harder to come by in today's game with the ball getting out so quickly. How do you judge a good pass rush outside of total sack numbers?
It's a lot of different ways you can. Some people just open up the stat book and make a decision on that. As a football coach, you look deeper into things, meaning obviously quarterback, batted balls, and the coverage, the call, the situation. So I don't really go extra, like the actual stat number doesn't tell you everything about the pass rush. So as someone who's been coaching for a long time, if you want to get sacks, you can blitz every other play and then have 35 sacks in the season or whatever that number may be to get you up there. But how many big plays did you give up? So I try to focus on team defense a lot, understanding, like I said earlier, if you can't cover long enough, you're not going to get any sacks. All right, so it kind of goes hand in hand. If we sit back at linebacker and sitting back at 4 yards off the ball the whole time, that's giving the offense 6 and 7 guys to block 4. So football to me is a big old mathematical problem. All right, you're either changing the math or you're not. So that's kind of my mindset without going too deep into it. But I hope you guys understand what I mean by that. Yeah.
Hilmer Granham.
Coach, I'm going to be honest. When you start saying football is a mathematical problem, that scares the hell out of me. So I wanted to ask you a couple questions. First about O'Donnell Fortune. You mentioned him, kind of surprising you. What are some of the things that you've seen from him specifically that's got you feeling good about what you've seen?
The first thing that I remember OD out of high school, first and foremost, one. Two, I yelled at him one day so loud and so hard. And for the first time since I've been here, I've been face-to-face with a player. And I always tell him it's never personal. And just, I got emotionally hijacked at one moment. And he looked at me, stared at me, and didn't blink, and went on and played the next play. So I knew right then I was going to love the dude, all right? So, but what he's shown the most as being coachable, one. Two, taking the defense, he's probably played 2 or 3 positions for us this spring. So, and then for a guy his size, he actually is a physical-minded football player. He brings it, he tried to knock people out. He tried to be a physical football player. That surprised me more importantly about OD than anything. And he has a great football background coming from Sumter High School.
Yeah. And when Coach Satterfield was in there talking to us a minute ago, he was saying how you guys maybe try to throw each other some curveballs with the scheme and stuff leading or when you guys have been scrimmaging. And he said it'll be pretty vanilla during the spring game, which I guess is to be expected. But could you maybe talk a little bit about how you guys have tried to trick each other in some of these scrimmages, maybe setting something up and giving a different look on Saturdays?
Well, it's beautiful, man, because one, not often do you get to work with a coach that you've known for over a decade, almost 2. So me and Sack go way back to Western Carolina. So we both understand that in order for us to be a good football team, we both have to be on the same page, and we've been that, and that's awesome. That's fun. Definitely, obviously, it's game day. I mean, obviously, I know that play that he probably ran today is setting up another play for Saturday. I heard one of the players say, "Watch out, that play's coming Saturday. You better believe it." So, and it's football, it's life, it's the life we chose, and we love it. It's fun.
Josh Kendall.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Clayton, you were talking about, I too am scared by math, but so I might have to listen to this part several times, but how has the RPO affected that math and the way that you do that math, and how are defensive coaches responding?
Well, I mean, it's definitely the RPO has definitely affected the math big time because obviously, when football kind of first started going in my career, a lineman block shows you a block, that's a run, So now guys fly up, and the receivers used to block and crack block, and now those guys are running routes. So now when that O-lineman is showing a run, that safety of that linebacker, where the linebacker's got to trigger, the safeties can't trigger as hard. Because now, you got a corner who has to cover 53 and a third by himself. the RPO has changed the game. I know one of the coaches in this conference spoke of it earlier this spring, and I totally agree with him on that. The RPO has definitely changed the game. Those offensive coaches they're bright men, and they messed up the football game. So, but it's fun though. It makes it, if you like math, I think my high school math teacher will be excited about me talking about math right now. Wish I can remember her name, but anyway. But football is math, man. I promise you. So that's all we sit down and do is trying to, who can outnumber who.
Do you feel like in defending the RPO, do you try to force one decision or another? Do you play it that way? Like if you want to run that RPO, I'm just going to make you take the run, or I'm going to make you take the pass. I'm going to try to make you do whatever I want you to do.
Absolutely.
Can you play it that way?
Yes, you can. So football is also a situational football game. So if you're in a certain area where you want them to run it, you got to make that certain call to have your players understand that we don't want to die. We want him to give it. And then sometimes we want him to pull it because we have somebody ready for him. So yes, I would love to sit with you, Josh, and you'll be amazed at the things that you can do to affect RPO. And it's kind of like you can kind of control the game defensively. If it's a heavy RPO team, you can make the quarterback give it. You can make the quarterback keep it. Then you can kind of set things up that way. But it makes it hard at the same time. But, when you hit one really nice, it's fun. But yes.
Thanks, Clayton.
No problem.
John Dell.
Clayton, you had mentioned Brad Johnson and him being a standout to you at linebacker. What about him moving to inside linebacker has impressed you as a guy that kind of played more towards the edge and along the defensive line early in his career?
And I'm a big football awareness, football IQ kind of guy. I kind of gravitate to those guys. And that's been the most surprising thing, John, is that the fact that most time guys that are that close to the ball, the football awareness, the coverage aspects, the field zones, when people say curl, flat curl, and hook curl, and he understands those things as if like he played, high school quarterback or whatever. But that's been the most impressive thing. Obviously, his physicality and who he is as a person. Great guy, great kid, loves football. He's the muscle of our group, meaning, he's the muscle of our group, plain and simple. But his football IQ and his awareness of the overall football game is really that shocked me more than anything. But that's hats off to him.
Colin Taylor.
And I'm going to ask you another math question, but as a guy that has talked about math a lot in this, what are some things that you pay attention to numbers-wise or things like that y'all track that maybe we don't see or we don't track on the stat sheet?
Mm-hmm. And my math teacher was Miss Nichols and Mrs. Searles, as I had to just remember it. But as far as football, the main thing for me, obviously you have the stats that are out there, right? So those are the main ones. Like I said, I do a time to throw study, like what's the average in the conference as far as, is it 2.5 to 2.9? Where are the sacks occurring? Other things like, obviously third down, medium, and long, and what a team's doing. It's a lot of different things, but the main thing with math, when I say math, I'm really talking about how offenses are trying to gain an extra gap with the QB run game or the guard pulling or the tackle pulling. And we just have to understand that as a defensive football unit.
What have you learned so far about this linebacker group? You've mentioned Brad Johnson a little bit, but just what, from a whole, what have you learned about a group that's kind of been thin this spring?
Yep. Those guys work hard. They believe in each other. They like each other. They love coming to get the extra meetings and the extra workouts, and they want to become more vocal. They understand their goals and their strengths and their weaknesses. It takes a humbling group to understand, like, look, I'm good at this and I'm not good at that. This is what I need to get better at. This is what I need you to tell me, Coach, where am I messing up at? I need to know that so I can get better. So it takes a good group. It takes a humble man to understand, to make your weaknesses your strengths, and your strengths make them better. And they understand that. I like them a lot.
Phil.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon. What's the square root of 64? Nah, I'm just kidding.
On,
don't worry about that. The NCAA is putting in some new
Phil
legislation.
doesn't know either.
I don't know it either. No, I have a calculator right here. How is it going to change from a defensive standpoint, practices when they put these new rules in, eliminating certain drills like the Oklahoma drill, things like that, from where you sit as a physically demanding type defensive coach, how will it change things?
So, Phil, I'm so glad because if I didn't check my phone last night, I would not have saw that as far as the new rule that they're talking about. But, I mean, it's not going to change the game that much. I mean, we're still going to get in those. I mean, it's just going to change the practice schedule at the beginning of the practice schedule for like 5 minutes. A lot of teams, I hope not, are out there doing these drills every single day. But, you definitely, those are great tone setter drills. Those are toughness drills. It's not going to change the game. It's going to change the way we practice. And some coach is going to find another way to do that drill, and then they're going to have to kick that drill out, and it's going to keep on going. But we just got to continue to practice smart, keep our head up, use our hands, and continue playing the game the right way. And, one drill hopefully is not messing up the game of football. Great question, though.
Ben Portnoy.
Clayton, kind of off what Josh was asking, when you look at all these RPOs and the spread offenses that have evolved the last few years, as a defensive coordinator, how do you kind of go about adjusting to sort of the newest trends? And is that something you're doing in the offseason, in the moment, or what's kind of, the process when there has been, I guess, it seems like, at least on the surface level, so much change in the last, whatever it is, 5-7 years in how offenses are structured?
I mean, you really can't change as a person. You really have to do a great job of understanding what offenses are trying to do. You have to understand the coordinator, the play caller, the quarterback, their whole system. So it changes day by day, week by week, series by series, play by play. So, and it's all about the situation in the game at the time. But you have to be on your P's and Q's as a football coach and as a program. And you have to work on those things in the summer. And your guys have to know what offenses are trying to do as well. But it definitely makes you do some research, So now I think as a football coach, you just can't sit on the porch. You sit on the porch, you just sit there and you be in the rocking chair, and things are happening and things will just be going on, and you just see cars riding by all day long. So you got to get off the porch and get to work as a football coach. And that's what we do.
Hale.
Coach, I know you guys are waiting on a few of your signees to get there, and obviously haven't been able to work with them this spring, but you have a few older, more experienced guys coming in with Bam and Platel and some Isaiah Norris. What are you kind of going to be asking of those guys when they're able to get in and y'all are able to start working with them to help out on defense?
They're going to be asked a lot. We on the phone with those guys as much as we possibly can. They're great. They're great kids. I'm not sure how much I can talk about them, to be honest with you. But I think they're ready. I think they're ready. They're excited to get here. They're very excited to come and join the family, join the defense, and get moving. They love football. That's always the first trait you got to have. You got to love football. You have to love the process. You have to love everything outside of those 12 games. If you don't, it'd be hard to get to those 12. But I think that's the most important thing. And they seem hungry, and they want to win, and they want to work. So excited about those guys coming.
John Dell.
Clayton, with so many guys not able to practice this spring, either at linebacker or in the secondary, is there one guy that you wish you could have seen more of this spring, given what you've learned about him off the field and in meeting rooms, and the guy you're looking most forward to see, come this fall?
Yep. Start up front. I want to say I wish Jabari Ellis would have had an opportunity to go a little bit more at the linebacker spot. Spencer Eason Riddle, been around here for a while, North Carolina guy, so we'd like to see him out there running around. The defensive back room for sure, Jalen Dickerson is someone who I've known since the 10th grade. So try to get him to go to another school, but he decided to come to Columbia instead. Excited to see him. He's actually getting a little work back. Joey Hunter, Darius Rush. Those are some of the main few guys that would love. Excited to see those guys play, run around and have fun. You definitely hear them on the sideline, so I'm getting tired of hearing them. I'm ready to see them play.
If I could follow up on what you said about Jalen, just what about him as a high school player attracted you, and how happy are you to now be able to coach him, when he's fully healthy?
Absolutely, great question. He, has a great family, from what I remember, and he I like where his high school was. His high school was in Pinehurst, over there by Pinecrest, so you could find a way to recruit him on a Friday and play some golf on Saturday. So it's all, that was the first thing. Great high school coach, great program. But I feel like Jalen is just a great kid. The team loves him. He got some size to him. He got some nice size and range, and seems physical. Kind of a quiet kid, but he loves football. So I think that's very important.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for Coach? One last one. Hill, go ahead.
Coach, just want to follow up about Joey Hunter. When he's able to get out there, is he playing one spot in particular, or are y'all going to try to bounce him around a little bit and see what he can do?
It's kind of hard to answer that, to be honest with you, Hell. Not to be, but it's, obviously once we, figure out where everybody else is going to go when we add those 3 or 4 more pieces off the injury reserve list, basically. And, right now Joey's a corner. He should come in as a corner in the fall camp. But, Joey seemed like a team player, so we'll see what happens.